Hey guys, welcome to the third episode of the beginner course of FiveM developing. So I'm really excited for this one because today we are going to crack open some real code and start writing some real code. And we are going to have a look at, let's see, today is going to be some if statements, some while loops. And we are going to do the assignment from last week. And we are going to have a look at FiveM natives. And I think that's pretty much it that I planned for today. Let's jump straight into it and begin, guys. So, let's see. There we go. I hope you can see my screen all good. I've tried to zoom it in a bit and the quality should be okay. So last week we talked about variables, right? Like name equals mfan. So the variable name is going to be the string mfan and my age is going to be 30. That means that the variable my age is an int, that I'm 30 years old and my name is mfan. Remember that, and remember that we actually also made some prints to print this stuff out. So name is going to be name, and age is going to be age. And if we run this on the server, like here, and then ensure it. Remember how we ensured it last week? So first script. I've got name, mfan, age, nil. Oh yeah, because we call it my age. So it's important to call it the correct stuff. So if we use it now, then it says 30. So that's what we went into last week. We also had a look on how to set up our manifest. I hope you guys remember how to do this, because this is very important that you know how to do, so you know how to add more stuff into it and how it works. So let's have a look at the assignment. So the assignment for this week was that we had a number, right? So we create a variable called number, and the number was 5,000, I have a notepad here, 563,594. That was the number, right? So the assignment was to make it so when this is being printed out, so we are going to have a print that print out number, and when this is being printed out, it's supposed to print it with a $sign in front of it and a space between the first three numbers and the second three numbers. So, and I also had added something like if you can make it into by just using one variable, then that's extra credit, so to speak. And I'm going to go through two different ways to actually do this, to have it sorted out. So I believe that we can do it like this. So first I'll do it without the extra credit and a little bit of workaround. So we get it, and then I do the fast and best way to do it. So we'll do this way first. So we have the number, and we want to create a number 2 as well, or just this second set of number is going to be, and then we want to actually just take these three numbers, right? And store them into here. And the easy way would be to just write it like this. What was it? 594. Okay, but that's a bit too easy. So we'll do something called a string.sub, and we want to remove the 4th, 5th, and 6th character from number. So first we specify that it's the number that we are supposed to subtract something from, and we want to subtract the number 4, 5, and 6. So it starts at 4 and ends at 6. So if I'm not mistaken right now, we can print out the second set and have a look at that. And that prints the 3 last numbers. So we stored the 3 last numbers in that. But if we also print, so we'll call this second set, and then we'll add another print for number. So we can have a look. So number is the entire number, and 594 is just the last 3 digits of the number. And I can't spell like that. So how do we make it so that this gets rid of that? Well, we could do it by doing equals number. Number equals number, that's self-explanatory, right? Number equals number. But we could also do minus 594. And if we print it now, it's going to return 563,000. Okay? That's how we subtract it. But if we didn't know the numbers, maybe they were stored in a variable as well that we didn't know about, or it might change from time to time or stuff like that, then we can actually do something like this. We can use the math library. And we know that it's a 6-digit number, so we can do number divided by 1,000. If we do that, then it's going to add a point between them. But we wanted a space between them, right? So so we have the second set of numbers is working properly, and the first set of numbers is having a comma in between them. So now it's not 563,000, it's 563.594. And what we can do then is we can do a math.floor. And actually we'll do math.ceil first, just to see that. So this will round off the number into a solid number, like this. So now it's 564, but that's wrong, right? Because the original number was 563, and that's because math.ceil always rounds up, and math.floor always rounds down. So we'll have a look at this. And now it's 563 and 594. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to take this and set math number equals number. And then we can add a, because we can't add a plus sign here and plus the second set. Because if we do that, then it's just adding it together to 1157. That's not what we want. We'll comment that one out for now. We want both of them to be printed together. So we'll do dot dot between them. And there we got the entire number again. Okay? That's the entirety of the number, but it is in 2 different variables. So what we can do then to add a space between them, the dot dot is a pointer for concatenate the values that are being stored inside the variable. So we can add a space like that, and then we need to add another dot dot. So now we will have a space, a string space between the 2 numbers. So if we print it now, we have the space. And if we start off by doing something like this and add the $sign as a string before, and then dot dot and then number. And if we print it now, it's all done. So that's quite a bit of code just to get it to print the number correctly. Another way to do it is to use some string formatting. And what we'll do then is we can actually save the thing that we had before, so we can have a look at that. But still, number equals $, because we want the $sign to be in the first place. And then we can use the string sub that we used earlier. String.sub number 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then add dot and then a space between the numbers. So if we only print this right now and remove all of these, so they're commented, let's see what this prints for us. And it's not being printed, and that's because we haven't finished this one quite yet. Let's see if we do that. Now it's just printing that part. Let me think. 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, this is me being stupid. I forgot the dot. So now it's 563. And then we do the string.sub on the other part as well. So still it's inside of number that we want to grab, but we want to grab the letters 4 all the way to 6. And if we do the print now, it prints the entire thing with the $sign in front of it, but no space. So we want a space between these two. So we just add the space right there, and that's going to be printing it. So with just one line, we actually made it work as intended. And that was the assignment for this week. Let me know if you solved it in any different way than I did. I'd be eager to know. And let's continue onward. So we'll delete this for now. Well, wait, we can actually save this, okay? And we can do something like, because we are going to check, have a look at if statements. So we'll have this number, and we'll have another number called number check. And that's going to be 10,000, like that. And we can remove this part. And we can do something like an if statement. If the original number right here is bigger than number check, then we want to print. So we add an then in that, and then we want to print number is bigger than. Actually, we could do something like this. Wait, if we do it like number, the dot again, and then a string is bigger than space and dot and number check. Else if number is smaller than number check, then what do we want to happen then? Yeah, we want to print number dot the space is smaller than and double dots and number check, like that. And we need to put an end to the if statement as well, like that. So we have our first if statement, and then we have an else if. So it first check if this is correct. If it is, then it's going to print that. If it's not correct, it's going further down and checks here. is it smaller than, then it's going to print that. And let's have a look at what's going to happen if we save this and open the server. Okay, 563,594 is bigger than 10,000. Yeah, it is. And if we make this into a, what's that, 100,000 and a million, then 563,000 is smaller than a million. So that's how that works. But what happens if we make it so they're both the same number? Then nothing happens. And that's because the number is not smaller than number check. It's not bigger than number check. It's the exact same. So what we could do is else if number equals with double equals sign equals number check, then print they are the same. And if we run this one right now, it's being printed. They are the same. So, but we could also get rid of this, and we could make it so we did put an equal sign here. That means if number is smaller or equal to number check, then it's going to return as smaller. So if we run this now, then it says that 563,594 is smaller than 563,594. And the same applies if you go and do it up here. So you can do is number bigger or equal to number check. And then it's going to return that 563,594 is bigger than 563,594. But that's not what we want, because it isn't. So we could just add an else statement, because there is only a third option. There isn't any more options. So we could just do else, which means that if this is not correct and this is not correct, then do this. And then we can print they are the same, like that. Yes. So let's continue onwards. So what we could do is we could make this into a while loop. And a while loop is triggering as long as the condition for it is correct. So they look like this, while, and then if you want a while loop to run forever, you just do while true do. And you always need a wait inside of a while loop, and we'll set this to 1000. That means that 1000, every 1000, it should wait for 1000 milliseconds, which is 1 second. So now it will do all of these once every second, and we need to close the while loop as well. So now it will run this, and if we run it, why is it not working? Maybe we need to put it inside a thread. We're going to talk more about what thread is, but for now, just copy after me and write it yourself. Create thread, like that. And inside of it, you need a function like that. And then you need to end it. But this one needs to be closed. This yellow bracket right here. So we're closing that all the way down here. And then we'll move this in a bit, like that. And let's see if... So now it's being printed. They are the same, and it's being printed all of the time. So what we could do is, if we remove these if statements, and we'll take the number 1, okay? And then, so what we want to do is we want to print number, like that. And if we run this, it's printing 1. But what we could do is we could do number equals number plus 1. That will add 1 to the number for once every second. So if we ensure this, it's counting for us. See that? And if we do without any delay on the wait timer, then it's going to spam out numbers really, really fast. Okay, so what should we do with this? Yeah, we are going to actually write our first working in-game script from this. So we'll stop the first script for now, and then we will launch our FiveM and join our dev server. And what we are going to create now is we are going to create a in-game clock. And to create a in-game clock, we need to have a look at some native reference from the FiveM native reference guide. To get to this guide, you just enter docs.fivem.net/natives. And then you come here. You can also just Google FiveM natives. And the first links that pop up is this one. So here is all the natives that you can use when you're coding stuff for FiveM. So let's have this one connecting first, and we are going to have a small look at the very first in-game stuff that we are going to write. And for this is not going to be run on server side. First of all, it's going to mostly contain of client-side stuff. We are going to need a thread the same way we used it before. So we'll start with create thread, and inside the thread we want a function with the brackets, and the yellow closing is supposed to go down and then put an end to it. And inside of the thread we want a while loop that runs forever. So while true do, oops, and then a wait timer. And we'll make it so this only updates once every second. Okay, so what we are going to have a look at is something called, it's usually called DrawText 3D, but it could be called pretty much anything because it's a function that we are going to create. A function is something that we use when we're programming to that runs a preset of code that we don't want to use, that we use more than once, but we don't want to write the code every single time. Then we can just call for that function and that will do the stuff for us. So, and we create a function with just using the word function, and then what we want to call our function. And in this case, we will call it DrawText 3D. And this is going to contain a variable inside of it when we start this function, and that variable is going to be text. And the function needs an end as well, so we need to close it. So this is the function, and up here we have the thread. Let's put some more space between them. And let's see if I can join the server. Okay, so just to make sure that this actually works, we can do a print inside of while true do and print hello world like that. But we need to remember to end our while loop as well, so end. And let's launch the script from in-game. So then we want to ensure first script. That starts it, and it starts printing hello world. So we know that it is working and running. So what we want to do is we wanted to use the DrawText, right? And how do we call the function DrawText from up here? Yeah, we just basically do draw text 3D, and then brackets. And in here, we put in what we want to send into the DrawText function. This is what's going to be stored inside of the text. So in here, we want to store clock, like that. And let's do a print down here, print. And then we just want to print text. So we'll see. Then we only have the print down in the function. Let's see what happens now. We ensure it again. And it's being printed just clock, but down here. So what do we need to actually make it so this is a working text that shows up on the screen? Yeah, we are going to first off need a set text entry, which is going to be a string. And let's have a look at this FiveM native. Maybe it isn't a... used to be known as set text entry. Okay, so begin text command display text. It is what it's called today, but you can still use set text entry. So the following were found in the compiled script file string, two strings. So this is what you can put into it. We put in string because we want to print a string. You can print number, percentage for two numbers, as mean dollar is dollar, yeah, and some other stuff that I have no idea what they are. So we have the set text entry. If we run the script now, nothing is going to happen because we haven't made everything that we want just yet. So what we want next is add text component string. Let's have a look at that native. Add text component string. And that's also replaced with a new name, but I believe this should still work because I use it all the time. Player name. So this is the one that we are using. A string to add of up to 99 characters. This can contain additional formatting directives. Adds an arbitrary string as a text component placeholder, replacing a in the current text command's text label. See the documentation on text formatting for more information. Okay, so what do we want to put inside of here? Yeah, this is supposed to be the text that we want to print, right? So we want to print the text. Let's see what happens now if we run this. Does anything show up? I don't think so. Not that I can see. No. Nothing. And why could that be? Well, we are missing a few statements like DrawText. Oops. The DrawText statement, DrawText, which is going to be, I'm not sure what this is supposed to be. Let's have a look at this native again as well. I mean, old name was DrawText. After applying the properties to the text, CUA setText, this will draw the text in the applied position. Oh, okay. So let's put it at 0.0 and 0.0, like that. And let's see what happens if we run this. No, it's not letting us run it right now. So we need some more stuff. Well, we need to set DrawOrigin as well, which is supposed to go on top of DrawText or before DrawText. DrawText is supposed to be at the very end, but after that you usually put a clear DrawOrigin. This will clear the text so it doesn't pop up, so it doesn't stay there forever, so to speak. So, and you can also have a setText center. Is that it? Let's have a look at the FiveM native again. Oh, century. Okay. And this is just a Boolean value. Boolean means it's true or false. So is it supposed to be center, true or false? So I believe we should just make it true, right? Like that. Let's see what's going to happen now if we restart it. Global setText center. So it's still not working. Well, I don't think that the client yet knows where to draw it. So we might need to add something like SetDrawOrigin. Oh wait, we already have that up here. We haven't even filled it in. Let's have a look at this one inside the FiveM natives. SetDrawOrigin sets the on-screen DrawOrigin for draw functions in world coordinates. Okay, so we need world coordinates for this one. So how do we grab the world coordinates? So this is supposed to be X, Y, and Z, right? And how do we do this? Wait, is that all of the any? There's a third one that doesn't seem to matter, so we'll just make it 0 in the end, like that. So how do we get the coordinates? Well, this is a very commonly used FiveM native that's basically being used all the time. It's called PlayerPadID, so learn to use it. Let's have a look at it in the FiveM natives, PlayerPadID. This returns the current PlayerPad, i.e. the client that is playing. Okay, so what you want to do for performances is usually you want to store this inside a local variable, but we haven't started talking about local variables yet. So I'll store this inside a variable that we recognize, and I'm going to call this variable xPlayer equals PlayerPadID. I usually use xPlayer. I use the x to define that it's a local variable usually, but xPlayer equals PlayerPadID is what I usually use. And then we grab the the player with the PlayerPadID, but then we want to grab the position. So we can do x player position equals, and then we want another FiveM native to get the position of him. So if we go into FiveM natives and search for position, and then we can try to look for something like set entity coords. No, we want to get something, and it's not get player center position, wanted center position. No, actually what we are looking for is something called get entity coords. Here it is, get entity coords. The utility of the coordinates from alive unused in game returns the current entity coordinates. That's exactly what we want. We wanted the x, y, and z coordinates. So let's use the get entity coords, and we want to grab the coords from x player, which is PlayerPadID. So you can put either PlayerPadID in here or just use x player. For performance issue, it's better to store everything inside of variables when writing for FiveM. So just make yourself used to doing that, is my suggestion. And if we have a look at this now, we can do print position, or actually, yeah, position. And then we want to print x player position. And let's see if something shows up. Here it is, position, vector 3, does this mean? And this is the x coordinates, y coordinates, and z coordinates. So how do we grab the x, y, and z? Yeah, we can do something like this, x and x player position dot y and x player position dot z. That will still return the same things, but without the vector 3. So this is the x, the y, and the z. So if we put these into here, x player position dot x, x player position dot y, and x player position dot z, and we try to run this. And it still doesn't run. And it's attempting to index a nil value at 20. But this isn't nil. Probably misspelled something. Yeah, there it is. SetText center. Yeah, it was not called center, we call centray, like that. And we are still missing something to get this DrawText to actually work. And it could be that we are missing the size and the font of it. So set text scale, I believe it is, and we'll set it to 1 and 1. And the font is using, what's that using? I think it's set text font. Set text font. Let's have a look. Set text font, yeah. Fonts that mess up your text were made for number values, mixed stuff, yeah. And it's supposed to be an integer, which we know is a number. So we'll put in 1 here as well. And it's still not working. And why could that be? Are we still missing something? What could we be missing? Could it be that this is supposed to go further down? I don't think that matters. No. Error using the native. That's very weird, right? Maybe we need to set the color. Set text color. So it's using red, green, and blue and alpha RGBA. So let's go to the code. Set text color, and how was it spelled with U? Like that. And it was RGBA. So this is the R is for red, and this goes from 0 to 255. G is for green, which goes from 0 to 255 as well. And B is for blue, which goes from 0 to 255 as well. And A is for alpha. Alpha, that means the opacity of it. So we'll put it to 1.0. And let's see if that fixes it for us. No, still not working. Font. And this is a bit awkward because I have no idea why it's not working as intended. Could it be that that's supposed to be as floats? That's not supposed to be float, I know that. We have this SetDrawOrigin. I have the DrawText, complement string. So, I don't know. I believe this should work. And what happens if we run this every frame? It's still giving the same error. Could it be that this is supposed to go in before? Since it's not being updated. So maybe we want to store the X, Y, and Z up here. X, Y, Z. Like that. And then we want to bring the X player we have everything that we want right here. Like that. Let's see what happens then. Still the same. Yeah, as you know, notice it's a bit... I did a cut because there was the issue with the clock to pop up, but the entire code that we wrote was correct. I just needed to restart the server and restart my client, and then it popped right up. So let's see if we do something like, we want to store the clock inside a variable instead. So we'll make it clock equals clock, a string that says clock, like that. And then we could just type in clock here instead. And it should still print the same. Oops. Yeah. So let's make it so the clock is actually a variable or an int. So clock equals 1. Well, we'll do clock equals clock plus 1. But we need to define what clock is from the start. And if we define it here, we'll do clock equals 0. Then it will just go to clock 1. Clock equals clock plus 1, so clock will be 1. And then it will loop again and reset the clock to 0. So the clock will always be 1 if we do it like this. So look, it just prints 1 right there. But if we declare the clock outside of the loop, so it has a preset value, and then restart it, and we'll see it's starting to go off like a timer. And that's all we are going to have time with for today, guys, because the DrawText was giving us a bit of a headache. Okay, we are going to set up a what do we want to call it? Mission, homework, lesson, something for next week. And I want you guys to create, let's see. Yeah, I want you guys to create a speedometer for the vehicle, but using these things that we just went through in here. Remember, grab your notepad, take notes and everything like that. So make it easier, like go back in the video if you need to and check it through. But everything to make a speedometer is inside of here pretty much. And you also need a few FiveM natives. And if you need help figuring out what the natives you need are, then join my Discord, link down here. And yeah, just holler at us and we'll answer. But make a speedometer. I want you to make it so that this speedometer shows up on either side of the vehicle when you're inside the vehicle. It's not supposed to show up when you're not inside the vehicle, and not on top of the vehicle, at the side of the vehicle at all times. And if you want to make it a bit extra difficult, then make it so it's displaying it either in kilometers per hour or miles per hour. And you can also make it so you have a config file that where you can choose to either use miles per hour or kilometers per hour. That'll be the homework for next week, to actually code your very own speedometer. So this will be interesting, guys. This will be interesting. Remember, if you need any help, just join my Discord. We have loads of channels there where people are eager to help. And I hope you enjoyed this week's lesson, and I'll see you guys next week. Take care, guys.